Tonight's big stories. The NTF-LCAC refutes claims of kidnapping by two activists with documentary and video evidence. The Army, on the other hand, is now preparing to file cases against the two.
Two former spokespersons of the NTF-LCAC have been found guilty of red tagging. Their sanction, a stern warning from the Office of the Ombudsman.
And stay tuned as we go inside the Socorro Bayanihan Services community in Surigao. The group, which recently made headlines for alleged cult-like activities.
Welcome to the show. I'm Gretchen Hall.
I'm Maricel Halili.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Sean, last night we had ADG Jonathan Malaya from the National Security Council, and he said they were going to provide evidence today, and they followed through. The National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, has released the sworn statements of the two activists who claim that they were abducted by the military. Now, what we're about to show you are the affidavits, which shows what the task force said were handwritten by the two activists. In Donila Castro's sworn statement, she claimed that she had been a part of the communist movement for 4 years. Castro added that she wanted to leave the movement, or what she called kilusan, to start a new life, something that she told the other activist, Jed Damano. The affidavit was signed by Castro, 70th Infantry Battalion Commander Ronel de la Cruz, and Angat Bulacan Mayor Reynante Bautista. Now, in Tamano's statement, she revealed that she was a member of Kabataang Makabayan. Tamano said she wanted to leave the communist movement due to the threats to their security posed by other groups. She also vowed at the end of her statement that she will no longer join any groups under the CPP, NPA, NDF.
Now, aside from the affidavits, the Anti-Communist Task Force also released footage of Castro and Tamano taking an oath to support their statements. Authorities also released a video of Tamano supposedly admitting that she was a member of the NPA.
Nakailang taon ka doon?
Halos 2 years po, pero mas may
Si ano, ganun din. Sumampa ka rin. Estudyante ka rin. Natatapos mo ka. Ay, siya yung estudyante bago ka sumampa.
Okay, so in case you missed it, okay, nagkaroon kasi ng press con nung Tuesday, where Jonila Castro and Jen Tamano, the two ladies that we saw on video, they vehemently denied that nag-voluntary surrender sila sa military. Ang sabi nila ay inabduct daw sila, forced to surrender, forced to write an affidavit, and cop to being part of the Communist Party of the Philippines under duress or threat. And then they said this again during the press con of the NTF-LCAC. The press con was then abruptly stopped. According to the NTF-LCAC naman, they also had statements from Tamano's parents. Tinanong daw nila yung dalawa kung gusto nila ng abogado at tumanggi raw yung dalawa. Now, last night.
Kagabi, di ba? Si ADG Malaya, sinabi niya na they were taken on for a ride.
They were hoodwinked.
Oo, bakit nga ba sila magpapapress con kung inabduct nila yung dalawa? So sinabi nila meron nga silang pruweba, meron silang video na ilalabas, at saka meron daw silang proof na the two are part of the NPA.
Actually, kagabi nga, Maseno, nilabas pa ni, sinabi pa nga ni ADG Malaya kung aling group, aling cell nagbebelong, no? Itong yung isa sa kanila. Ganun siya ka-specifics, and he was very, very confident.
May binabasa siya kahapon
Meron siyang report na dala dito.
Dahil may affidavit pa, no? Pero we were able to talk to the legal counsel of the two ladies na kasama dun sa
Yung
press.
PAO lawyer
sa totoo lang. Yeah. No.
Yung private
counsel nila. And sinasabi naman itong private counsel nila na moot yung pinirmahan nila na affidavit because ang kiniklaim ng part ng dalawang ladies, hindi sila binigyan ng chance to choose their own lawyer. So in that case, hindi na pwedeng kilalanin yung affidavit even with the presence of a PAO lawyer.
Ang sagot dyan ni ADG Malaya, no, is that ganun talaga daw yung protocol pag susuko. Kasi nga parang they were under the impression na gusto na sumuko nitong dalawa, ayaw na nila dun sa kilusan at gusto nila manumbalik sa normal society. And that's part of the protocol. Nevertheless, no, this is how the NTF-LCAC described what the activists did during that press con. Pakinggan natin.
Abe, bibigyan ko ng Best Actor Award itong mga ito, pang FAMAS. Kontra sa katinuan at tamang pag-iisip at common sense na ilabas mo sa madla ang sinumang iyong taong dinukot. Sa madaling salita, the NTF-ELCAC acted on good faith.
So ang tanong ngayon, will the government still pursue charges against these two activists? And how does their lawyer plan to defend them? Let's bring in Brian Basa for the details. Brian, what do you have?
Sean, like what we reported yesterday, the NTF-ELCAC says they're considering filing perjury charges against Castro and Tamano. But now if you ask the new Army Chief, Lieutenant General Roy Galido, well, he's more determined to sue them.
We felt betrayed. That's why we will file the necessary case. They went to us. They want to go back to the fold of the law.
Galido also believes the military did not commit any violation in handling the supposed surrender of the two activists. He's also challenging critics to file charges against his soldiers if they're convinced that the military violated the law. Meanwhile, we also spoke with the activist's lawyer, Dino De Leon. He says he and the Free Legal Assistance Group are prepared to protect the rights of their clients. De Leon adds the sworn statements shown by the task force will not hold up in court as they were signed without the presence of their chosen lawyer.
Maraming well-meaning people sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, sa NTF-ELCAC, at saka sa military, di ba? So, dapat hindi sila magsinungaling at sabihin nila ang katotohanan.
That was Castro and Tamano's counsel attorney Dino De Leon. Back to you.
Thanks for that update, Brian Basa of News 5. Itong Gretch Mase, related pa rin sa NTF-ELCAC, no? Usong-uso sila ngayon. Now, two of its former officials have been found guilty of red tagging. Guess who? Yes?
Yung may tattoo.
Well, they've been on the headlines for
That's
the
right.
past
This is
years,
that's a
right?
free question, right? It's the agency's former spokespersons, Lorraine Badoy, and retired Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. The Office of the Ombudsman ruled that the two are guilty of conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. The administrative case stems from their statements red tagging the National Union of People's Lawyers, or NUPL. The penalty for first-time offenses like this is usually suspension lasting 6 months to a year, but the two will only be reprimanded as a sanction. The Ombudsman, meanwhile, dismissed the same complaint against former National Security Advisor June or Hermogenes Esperon, and it was ruled that his statements against the NUPL were only made in defense of Parlade and Badoy. The NUPL said it has mixed reactions over the Ombudsman's ruling. The group says that while they did not achieve full legal redress, the guilty verdict against Badoy and Parlade can be viewed as, quote, a loud warning shot.
Meron mga dismaya sa desisyon na ito kasi it was just a reprimand. So apparently, even if they are former officials of the NTF-ELCAC, if they do get a suspension, they would have to pay.
They
Like,
have to
twice 6
return their
months.
sweldo.
Yun.
Oo.
So kung 1 year, 1 year's worth of sweldo. So
Yes.
sinasabi na parang medyo kulang. It was not what we were seeking for, but at least it was a warning shot na these things will not go without consequence.
Pero we have to take note that these two individuals are private individuals already. Hindi na
Yeah.
sila part ng government. So I wonder, after the stern warning to these two officials and ulitin nila to their personal accounts, what will happen?
Yun nga eh. Kasi
Diba?
right now, no, parang medyo tahimik na si General Parlade. Pero si Lorraine Badoy ay nasa SMNI. She still has her show. So meron pa rin siyang platform, diba, para magsalita. So
Well,
we'll see what happens.
We'll have to wait and see. Up next. The Office for Transportation Security has suspended a screening officer who was caught on camera swallowing money allegedly stolen from a Chinese national. But the officer insists she was only eating chocolate. That and more when we return. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. The Office for Transportation Security has relieved and suspended the female security screening officer who was caught stealing and swallowing dollar bills at the NAIA Terminal 1. But despite all the evidence against her, the officer is still denying the theft. The officer insisted that she did not steal any money and was only trying to swallow chocolates. The OTS, however, is not convinced with the explanation. They said that the officer might have been done with the act along with the supervisor who provided water, as well as the x-ray operator who ordered the manual inspection of the passenger's baggage. Administrative charges, including grave misconduct as well as criminal charges, are being prepared against the individuals.
Sinasabi may kinain lang siya na tsokolate ba yan o ano. Pero kung makita natin doon sa video na nag-circulate, hindi naman ganun ang normal na pagkain ng mayroon pang tayong nakita, tinutulak-tulak niya ganun. Isa po yun sa aming procedure na hindi po pwedeng kumain sa aming checkpoint. So doon pa lang, meron na siyang talagang administrative violation.
Oo nga, paano magiging chocolate yun? Pinupush niya para maswallow. But here to shed more light regarding this incident, we have with us on the line, OTS Administrator Mau Aplaska. Administrator, magandang gabi po sa inyo. Welcome to the big story.
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat at magandang gabi din sa mga taga-subaybay ng inyong programa.
Sir, simulan natin dun sa chocolates. So, paano natin tinanggap yung explanation na chocolate ito, although nakita naman natin sa CCTV, and how did you know that it's $300 Because I've been trying to zoom in the video. Hindi naman makikita na 300 yon. What's your basis for saying that, sir?
For one po, yun po ang hinaharap na sabi ng complainant na Chinese, yung $300 po niya na ang nawawala based dun sa kanyang declaration. Kaya sa bumalik after the inspection po, in just a few minutes, bumalik po siya sa aming checkpoint para mag-complain.
Pero sir, kung nalunok nga nitong personnel natin, is it base dun sa pakikipag-usap ninyo sa kanya, nakita ba natin, nagkaroon ba tayo ng angle kung possible pang mabawi itong $300 na to?
Ganito po kasi ang nangyari. Nangyari po yung insidente noong September 8, pero na-kompleto lang po namin yung mga ebidensya, yung lahat ng CCTV footages, noong September 14. So medyo mahaba po ang lag time nung nabuo na po ng ating mga investigators yung kanilang conclusion. At sila po, kumbinsido sila na yung aming screening officer talaga ang kumuha ng $300 at sinubo niya sa kanyang bibig.
Confirm po ba, Administrator, na nailunok ito nitong screening officer? Kamusta po ang kalagayan niya health-wise at the moment? Okay naman po ba siya?
Noong pong na-summon namin siya simula noong September 14, nung officially nag-simula na yung aming investigation, okay naman siya at mga ilang araw na yun ang nakakaraan simula noong September 8. Hanggang ngayon, okay pa naman din siya. Pero kitang-kita naman natin sa video at by the way, hindi lang yung video na nakita namin, marami po kaming video footages at angles na nakuha doon sa aming investigation per the footages provided to us by the Manila International Airport CCTV system. Kumbinsido, sabi ko kanina, kumbinsido po yung ating mga investigators na siya talaga ang perpetrator.
Ano pa po nakita doon sa iba pang video?
Meron pong isang very important video, yung pong pagkatapos po niya na mag-conduct ng manual check doon sa bag ng Chinese passenger. Nakakimkim po yung isang kamay niya habang papalayo siya doon sa inspection area. Kaya lang medyo naputol na, hindi na pero yun na nga, isang convincing evidence po na nakita din namin ay parang tinarget talaga niyo yung specific bag na yun dahil meron na sa harapan niya na supposedly dapat yun ang uunahin niya na i-inspect. Pero iniwanan niya yung bag na na unang lumabas sa halip. Lumipat siya sa kabilang lane para i-target talaga yung bag na siguro may nakita talaga sila dyan sa loob.
Administrator, isolated incident ba ito? Is that how you're looking at this case? Or are you checking more videos from other dates, random checking CCTV footage? Kung baka naging modus na rin ito?
Actually, this is just one of the cases that we're investigating. There are other cases that are still being investigated as of today. Meron lang kasing nag-leak ng mga pictures na hindi namin alam. Tinatanong po namin sa Manila International Airport bakit merong premature leak yung mga pictures. Kaya po ito, dahil nailabas naman na sa social media, so nilabas na rin namin yung aming investigation.
Sir, meron ba tayong nakikita o gaano karami yung nakikita nating posibleng kasabwat nitong nahuli natin na personnel from OTS?
Initially po, nung first, yung September 14, dalawa lang yung initially na nakita ng ating mga investigators. And then until yesterday, merong nadagdagan ng isa. But yung update naman kaninang hapon, today, apat na po sila na tinitingnan ng ating mga investigators na posibleng sangkot dito sa pangyayari na ito.
Pero sir, ano yung nakapagpa-convince dito sa sumubo ng $300 na lumipat sa kabilang lane? Because I'm thinking baka meron silang mga senyasan ng mga kasama niya doon na taga-OTS din.
Tama po kayo, ma'am, dahil yung sinasabi ko na intentionally, iniwanan niya yung bag na unang lumabas sa kabilang x-ray. Pero nakikita po namin, nakikipag-usap po siya doon sa sa X-ray operator, yung nagmo-monitor po ng mga images ng X-ray. So parang pinag-usapan nila na targetin itong specific bag ng pasahero.
Administrator, pag nakakita po tayo ng mga ganitong video, hindi po maiwasang isipin kung ano nga ba yung mga dahilan kung bakit parang kapit patalim yung ating mga officer, yung sweldo po ba, tama po ba 16,000 a month? At nakikita po ba natin na ito yung maaaring posibleng dahilan? Kaya ganito na lang po yung racket nila, kumbaga.
It may be one of the factors po, pero may mga experience po tayo, like nanggaling po ako sa PNP, halos 100% po yung in-increase nung sweldo ng ating mga kapulisan, pero marami pa rin mga insidenteng ganito din po siguro sa amin. It is just one factor, but there are other factors.
But could it possibly be a solution, raising the salaries of our personnel? This is not the first time that we've heard something like this happen. Especially, medyo nakakahiya po kasi airport po natin yun.
Tama po, ma'am, talaga nakakaya at saka nakakagalit na talaga dahil...
pero posible po ba magtaas ng sweldo? Tinitingnan niyo po ba yun?
Tama po kayo, ma'am. It is one of the solutions. In fact, ang Department of Transportation po, through our secretary, nag-recommend po kami sa Department of Budget and Management na iangat yung salary grade ng aming mga security screening officers. At ito naman ay parang na-appreciate na ng DBM, kaya marami na po kami mga pag-uusap with the Department of Budget and Management. And hopefully, before the year end, sana po finally ma-approve na yung aming request.
Hoping and wishing alongside you, sir. Ngayon, yung isa pang nakakahiya, nagyari ito, no? This is just the latest in a string of incidents at the airport, kung anong-anong modus na ang na-uncover natin. At bukod pa doon, no, yung Office of Transportation Security, nagko-conduct na po kayo ng internal cleansing among your ranks. This latest incident, Administrator, would you say i-review ninyo yung screening process ninyo kasi baka may nakakalusot pa? What are you going to do differently?
For one po, ma'am, kadagdagan po sa aming mga initiative, marami na po kami ginawa. Kung maalala natin, yung tinanggal po natin yung mga bulsa sa uniforme. bawal na po magsuot sila ng jacket. Yung iba pa, nagpalagay kami ng mga bagong mga supervisors at saka nagpatupad kami ng malawakang balaso o revamp dyan sa Manila International Airport. Karagdagan din yung contribution ng Manila International Airport na dinagdagan nila yung kanilang mga CCTV system. Siguro po, ang nakikita namin ngayon, doon sa procedure po ng pagkakandak ng manual inspection, kahit isa po yun talaga sa normal procedure naman namin na magkakandak ng manual search sa isang bagahe. Pag medyo doubtful po yung X-ray operator, doon sa image na nakikita niya sa screen, halimbawa malabo, so magre-request siya na itong particular bag na ito will be subjected to manual inspection.
Okay, Administrator, may kaklaruhin lang po kami yung video po kasi natin na yung nagpa-viral, yung ninululod po yung pera. Out of the whole process, kasi sabi niyo marami po kayong video, itong parte na nilulod yung pera, ano po kayo nagtulak sa kanya na gawin yun? Ano po nangyari dun sa eksaktong moment?
Ayon sa mga investigators namin, siguro nararamdaman niya na malapit na siyang mahuli, Dahil pong nung bumalik na po yung Chinese na passenger, ang procedure po namin ay tatawagin po yung checkpoint supervisor, yung PNP, at saka yung airport police, kasama yung airline representative. So nagkaroon po sila ng konting pag-uusap, kasama po itong screening officer pa rin. Pero napansin namin doon sa mga ibang video na nakuha namin, habang nag-uusap po, ay bigla siyang umalis. Umikot po siya doon sa isang area na akala niya hindi siya nakikita ng video at doon niya sinubo yung pera.
Oo. Nalunok po ba ito o tinago lang sa bibig?
Nakita natin na tinutulak talaga niya hanggang finally na nalunok niya after
nalunok na. Confirm.
So confirm. Sir, pahabol na lang. Ano yung timetable natin? Kailan yung target natin na matapos yung investigation?
Hopefully sana bukas pinagsisikapan po ng ating legal office, but the latest po until next week tatapusin po namin yung criminal yung pagtatapos ng criminal ng administrative case. Pero base doon sa instructions po ng ating Secretary Bautista, we will also pursue the filing of the criminal case. At dito naman, nakikipagtulungan po kami humingi kami ng tulong sa National Bureau of Investigation at sa Department of Justice.
Alright, huling clarification na lang po, Administrator. Siya lang po ang kakasuhan or yung mga 4 na kasabwat niya kasama din pending results of the investigation?
As I've said, as of today, 4 na po ang mapapailan namin ng kaso. But definitely, lahat po ng members nung checkpoint na yon, lahat na naka-duty during that time, will be subjected to investigation.
All right. Babantayan po namin yan. Sir, thank you for joining us, OTS Administrator Mao Aplaska.
Up next, 10 more bills have been identified as priority legislation as both the Senate and the House of Representatives rush to pass these measures. More on that when the big story returns.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. The Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, or LEDAC, has approved 10 more measures for inclusion in the Common Legislative Agenda for the 19th Congress. Among them are amendments to the Government Procurement Reform Act, as well as a bill imposing excise tax on single-use plastics. Also included are bills to amend to Cooperative Code and Fisheries Code, as well as establishing a new government auditing code. The economic team also highlighted the rationalization of the Mining Fiscal Regime, Philippine Maritime Zones Act, as well as amendments to the Right-of-Way Act. Along with this, President Bongbong Marcos has certified as urgent Senate Bill number 2432. This seeks to redefine and impose stiffer penalties against crimes of agricultural economic sabotage. The President expressed belief that the measure would promote productivity of the agriculture sector and ensure the reasonable and affordable prices of agricultural and fishery products for consumers. Senate President Mig Zubiri has since lauded the priority measures, saying the bills are aimed at the betterment of Filipinos' lives.
Meron po additional dinagdag po ng ating economic team, and we committed to support this as well. Wala po kami nakikitang controversial. Wala po kami nakikita na magbibigay perwisyo sa ating mga kababayan.
Ang dali siguro, no, kunyari, parang may super majority ka sa upper house, sa lower house. Pag may priority measures ka, halos walang bumabangga sa'yo. Or kahit may bumangga, medyo sure pass pa rin. Oo.
Oo. Ngayon kasi ilan lang ba yung member ng minority natin pagdating sa Senate? Bilang mo lang eh.
Dalawa.
Oo.
Tapos 24 sa Congress out of 300.
Oh yeah. So definitely, mas madali talaga mapupush itong mga legislative agenda nila.
Well, let's take a look at the 10 additional measures that were included in this. Una-una yung amendments to the Government Procurement Reform Act. Nandun din yung excise tax on single-use plastics. Amendments to the Cooperative Code, amendments to the Fisheries Code, new Government Auditing Code, rationalization of the Mining Fiscal Regime, Philippine Defense Industry Development Act, Philippine Maritime Zones Act, Open Access in Data Transmissions Act, amendments to the Right-of-Way Act, at kung maalala nyo, ito yung mga nababanggit ng Pangulo sa kanyang SONA, di ba?
Right.
So, actually, may nabanggit si Presidente sa SONA, 17 yun eh. So parang ang sinasabi naman ni House Speaker Romualdez, parang 7 out of 17 dun sa mga nabanggit ni Presidente sa SONA, mukhang papasa na siya sa Congress.
Well, the Palace said Congress is on track to pass the LEDAC's top 20 priority bills for this year, including measures amending the Bank Deposit Secrecy Law and the Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act. House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez said 18 out of the 20 priority bills were already approved by the lower house. Alam ko, kasama dun sa 20, yung mandatory ROTC. Kanina tinitignan ko, pati yung Virology Institute of the Philippines and yung MUP.
Well, since most of it, I think, will sail through Congress, kasi nga, minsan, sinatawag nating rubber stamp na lang yung Congress. So, sa Senate tayo magkakatuusan, di ba? Kung talagang pahihirapan ba sila ng Senate or palalagpasin ng Senate. Pero I think, gaya nga nung, alam mo, Gretch, wala ka dito noon eh. Yun yung nag-open yung FIBA. Nandito si Senator Cynthia Villar. Ang nakikita niya, because ang tagal na niyang chairperson nung Agri Committee sa Senate, sabi niya, we really need to pass this Agri-Economic Sabotage Bill because dito lang matatakot. And wala pa raw napaparusahan dito sa mga hoarders, smugglers, middlemen, at kung ano-ano pa. So, President Marcos has said, kailangan na talaga ipasa tong Senate Bill 2432, especially now that the country is beset by rising prices and shortages in agricultural products, partly due to the nefarious acts of smuggling, hoarding, profiteering, and cartels.
Actually, pag binasa natin yung bill tungkol dito sa economic sabotage, ang proposal nila, kapag ka na-find na guilty yung individual, pwede siya na lifetime imprisonment at pagmultahin ng triple ng price ng agri at saka ng fishery products na in-smuggle nila.
So, times 3?
Nila. So, times 3. So, tingnan natin kung kaya nilang gawin yun. Kasi yung pagpasa na ng batas is different from implementation.
That's
As
true. Kasi
usual.
yun ang tanong ng mga tao, may huhuli ba?
Exactly.
Diba? Ang dami na nahuhuli, pero yung nakakasuhan,
Meron ba?
Meron ba?
Meron nga.
Oo. Ayun lang.
Sana naman, no, kasi ang mahal na talaga ng presyo ng bilihin. And maybe, malay natin, ito nga yung solusyon no, sa agri-smuggling issues natin dito sa bansa. Unless maging mas creative na naman sila at lusutan na naman nila.
And remember, dyan nagsimula yung rice price cap. Dahil dun sa issue ng smuggling and hoarding.
Dun
Na
sa
sinasabi
NFA
nilang
pa.
reason
Yes.
kung bakit daw tayo nagkakaroon ng problem sa supply at sa presyo ng bigas.
Seems to be the president was busy with that. The vice president, on the other hand, Sara Duterte, was among the keynote speakers in the 2023 Global Education Innovation Summit in Seoul, South Korea. In her speech before global education leaders, she underscored the importance of technology in supporting the education sector. Duterte, who is also Education Secretary, admitted that the pandemic had a huge impact on students' learning. She said that it deprived students of social interactions that are largely developed in school settings. Still, she noted that the pandemic introduced new technologies that are aiding the education sector. Among these is artificial intelligence, which Duterte says can be used by teachers to improve their lectures. However, Duterte said that students should not rely on technology alone, noting that learning to read and study on their own are also important. Duterte also told educators to teach students to be critical of what they read.
I add, it is equally important to teach how to differentiate truthful information from the untrue, to know what contributes to a learner's development and what does not, and what will instill in them the correct values that will turn them into productive citizens of our respective countries.
Well, at least alam natin yung stance ng VP tungkol sa AI na hindi siya blanket ban. Kasi yung iba ayaw talaga ng AI. Sa kanya, parang gamitin natin sa paraan na makakatulong, but we should also, take
Teach
care.
discernment.
Yeah.
Teach
Oo,
discernment.
yun ang sinasabi niya. Which is yan ang dinidiscuss sa UP ngayon. The policy on AI use.
Ako, I agree. Hindi na natin maiiwasan yung AI. It's already there. We might as well learn to use it to our advantage. diba?
Pero more than that, kasi parang meron tayong mga basic problems like yung recent study na lumabas na 90% of our 10 years old
Hindi
na mga
marunong
estudyante.
magbasa. Also learning loss in the pandemic. So, apart from the discussions on technology, we do have a lot more other things.
More
in
basic
the
things,
education
diba?
sector to think about.
You're right. Okay, pahinga muna tayo sa education. We're gonna take a quick break, but right after that, eto, isa pang malaking balita. We'll be taking a look inside the Socorro Bayanihan community and hearing the response to the cult allegations. Is there any truth to the child marriage accusations? Find out when the big story returns.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. The Socorro Bayanihan Services continues to make headlines over allegations of abuse against minors and other criminal activities. But the group responds, why not see for yourselves if there are such offenses? Now, News 5 was able to reach the group in Sitio Capihan in Socorro, Surigao del Norte. There they found the group's leader, J. Renz Kilario, also known as Senior Aguila. He denied identifying as a so-called new messiah. Contrary to the report of Senator Risa Hontiveros, Kilario said their group is dismayed over this one-sided expose.
Yung sabi ni Senator Risa Hontiveros, yung mga sinabi niya is parang para sa amin unfair naman. Kasi kahit staff lang niya, hindi naman dito pumunta. O kahit siya, ni anino niya, hindi pumunta. Matatakot ako sa Diyos, sir, kung ganyan. Kasi may takot ako sa Diyos. May takot ako sa Diyos. Sa Kristan nga ako, sir. I am believers of God.
Kilario also denied the allegations of child abuse against their group, although he did confirm that there are fixed marriages happening within their community.
Nung una lang yan, kasi parang nanona tong Socorro yung tradisyon na parang sa mga Chinese na may arranged marriage, early marriage. Yung kasi kahit nga, hindi naman dito kasi buong Pilipinas. Pero dito sa Socorro, hindi kami yung lang may issue rito. Mayroon ditong issue sa buong organisasyon. Kung kulto kami, kulto lahat ng Socorro. Bakit sininggle out lang kami?
Chinese, sabi niya? Sabi niya Chinese, di ba?
Sininggle
Sininggle
Hindi,
out.
kanina before that, yung arranged marriage sa mga Chinese.
Sa mga
na
Chinese.
Kaishaw. Di naman
Mga Kaishaw
maaga yung
setup
Kaishaw,
lang yun.
Pero may arranged marriage.
Dati siguro.
Dati,
Oo.
sinasabi niya.
Pero hindi bata.
Pero Gretch, naalala mo kagabi, di ba, kausap natin si Mr. Galanida, si Mamerto Galanida. Siya yung Vice President ng Socorro Bayanihan Incorporated. Ngayon, tinanong siya ni Gretchen, may kinakasal po ba ng maaga? Ito yung sagot niya, ulitin ko word for word. Definitely po, wala. In the first place, Senyor Aguila is not authorized, he is not a pastor, he is not a priest, and he is not a mayor. Pero
So,
yun nga.
dinenay niya na may
Merong
nangyayari.
early
marriages.
Pero
I
kakasabi lang ni
see.
Senyor Aguila na
Meron.
Nangyayari.
Before.
Oh.
Oo.
Pero meron.
Meron. At saka I wonder, gaano kabata yung mga kasama? Although sinasabi
That's true.
naman may mga 10 years old, puro mga minors yung mga kasama dun sa mga nag-complain.
Correct. Ito,
Diba?
pakinggan natin. No? Kasi si Senator Risa Hontiveros nga, siyang nagsiwalat nito, ay nagpresenta ng 2 more testimonies on these alleged abuses within Socorro Bayanihan. Pakinggan natin si Senadora Risa.
Practice mi tanan og eskrima, kutsilyo, kay bawo mi mo gamit, kabaw mi mo disarm o mo sa simbol o mga simbol parte ng pistola o armas sama sa Armalite, Impor o 45 unsa kanang gitawag og private army ni Senyor Aguila na kami usami ka private soldiers ni Dja, kay giingon malagim ni Dja diha na pwede ra kuno yung si Dja na mupatay mig tao basta kay sugo ni Dja.
Sa dito kami sa Kapihan, gusto ko mag-eskwela pero bawalan nila. Matong nangitag paagi ang mama na lusod ko dito ang maka-eskwela ko dito ko sa elementary sa
Linawin lang natin, no? Bukod dun sa mga arranged marriages, child marriages, and abuse, meron din kasing allegations na may private army itong Socorro Bayanihan Services. And according to Senator Bato de la Rosa, meron din daw siyang natanggap na impormasyon that they're also involved in the illegal drug trade. So medyo malawak yung mga accusations.
Bukod doon, parang meron din accusation na kumukuha sila ng pera ng mga 4-piece.
Yes. Oo.
So, parte yun.
So lahat naman din yan, sisimula na rin yung investigation kasi sabi ni Senator Risa Hontiveros probably on September 28 magsisimula na sila ng investigation sa committee niya. Kasama to dun sa mga aalamin tsaka yung mga abuse, especially dun sa mga minors. Meanwhile, let's get some first-hand insights on what it's like over there in Sitio Capihan. News 5, Mon Gualvez traveled land and sea to reach Socorro Bayanihan Services. Mon, tell us about your trip. What other things did you find out?
Maricel, getting to Sitio Capihan was a challenge in itself, but the stories we're getting are definitely worth the trip. It was a 2-hour travel from Siargao Island. We rented a boat to the town of Socorro, passed by Bucas Grande Islands, and upon arriving in the town proper, rode a tricycle to take us up to Sitio Capihan. When we got there, residents members of the Socorro Bayanihan Services were eager to welcome us, and there were no signs of gloom, despite their group being branded as a cult and the heinous accusations they've been receiving. We met their leader, Senior Aguila J. Renskilario. Like you mentioned, he clarified the cult and abuse allegations. But aside from that, they also showed us the White House, where they are allegedly keeping a Shabu laboratory and their stash of firearms. When we looked, all we saw were tripods and video shooting equipment. They also have their own radio station, recording booth, as well as a heat press machine and a tarpaulin printer. They're also working on a makeshift classrooms for students in the area. Maricel, members of the Socorro Bayanihan Services said they are doing here is living a simpler life, content with everyone's collective effort. They've received the Senate's invitation to attend the hearing on September 28th, and they said they will try to attend despite the limited resources and budget at the moment. But they're hoping for senators to extend also the same courtesy visit in visiting their community. And representatives from the Commission on Human Rights will also be there to conduct separate investigation. Maricel.
Para may cultural presentation pa na sumalubong kay
Oo
Mon.
nga.
Thank you, Mon.
May field demo.
Di ba? Oo. So parang, pero sabi nga
Obviously, they knew that Mon was coming kasi may welcome na ganon. di ba?
Pero, well, sabi ni Senator Risa Ontiveros, cultural group, nandun pa rin yung word na cult.
Sa cultural.
Sa cultural.
Okay, pero pupunta siya doon ng September 20. So tignan natin kung meron din siyang same warm welcome as Mon, our reporter, got. Okay, ito, hindi natin to pwede palagpasin. Today is September 21. So before we go, we leave you with our big picture tonight. And it is of the former dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr. from the night when he spoke to the nation via television to announce that he has declared martial law. The Philippines was officially placed under martial law on September 21, 1972, which makes today the 51st anniversary of its declaration. The 9-year period of authoritarian rule under Marcos Sr. is remembered for grave violations of human rights, for media censorship, and for numerous cases of corruption in government. Now, earlier today, hundreds of individuals gathered over at the Heroes Monument in Quezon City to commemorate the martial law's 51st anniversary. There, different members from various sectors recalled the tragedies brought by martial rule. The group also reminded the public to remain vigilant and to not forget the ordeals endured by others during what they consider a dark chapter in history. Lumabas ako ng bahay ko kanina. Malapit kasi ako sa sa EDSA Monument. Nakatira. Sobrang daming SWAT team. Medyo natakot ako. Sabi ko ng driver ko, Ma'am, anong meron ngayon? Sabi ko, September 21, martial law. So binaba ko yung bintana. Sabi ko, babae yung police na nandun. Sabi ko, ate, anong meron today? Sabi ko, martial law ba? Sabi niya, commemoration lang, ma'am.
Oo nga naman.
Pero full force talaga, ha? Ang dami talaga nila.
Pero syempre, ang Malacanang, quiet about it.
Walang statement.
Walang state.
Ganon din last year.
Last year, wala.
And last year.
Last year, I can't remember. Duterte pa yun.
Duterte pa yun. Alam naman magsalita pa sila, di ba? I guess if you have nothing to say, tahimik na lang tayo. But on our part, that's it for the big story tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for watching and have a good night.